Hi guys, welcome back to Babylon. We are going to do a short review on The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which is Nicolas Cage's latest film, with him and
Yes.
Pedro Pascal and a slew of others.
You want to give us a bit of background on the film, what it's about,
It's about
synopsis?
Nicolas Cage is playing himself, and he's at a point of his life where he feels undone and he can't get any that work that he wants, and he goes out to this rich man's house to be his guest, to be his paid guest, and then things kind of
Yeah, a
get
party
complicated.
guest, and let's just say this is sort of a Nicolas Cage playing a version of
A version of
himself.
himself,
The character is a little bit of a,
yeah.
let's say, a caricature of Nicolas Cage.
It's Nicolas Cage in a parallel universe. Okay, so just to give some sort of warning, this is going to be a spoiler-filled. Even though it's a short review, it's going to be filled with spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers
Yeah,
included. So
but
let's go. What didn't you like about it?
had it not been for an actor that everybody knows and loves, the story doesn't hold. It doesn't work on its own, and that's a measure you can look at a story and see if it works or not. If you take out the gimmick, do you still have a story? And you don't here. You have a thousand times seen before rehashing of a bromance or whatever that doesn't work. That doesn't it works in 1980, but it doesn't work now if it's not Nicolas Cage. So that kind of thing bothered me because the story doesn't hold on its own. And another thing that bothered me is the underutilization of certain characters. Ike Barinholtz and Tiffany Haddish, they were there for like
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. They were there like ornaments on the film. They weren't really. They didn't really do
Yeah.
anything, and in their amazing talents, all of them. And
Yeah, especially Neil Patrick Harris and Ike Barinholtz were
yeah,
basically day players. Like,
yeah,
you can work out that they brought him in for a day to shoot and then send them off on their way.
yeah,
They didn't have many memorable scenes. They were just
yeah.
really
And
there,
and I think
which is a waste.
the final thing that bothered me is it feels like it was planned. There's a climactic scene where Nicolas Cage saves the day, and they stitch it. If you, a little bit of background on the film, Pedro Pascal's character Javier wants Nicolas Cage to read. He's building a script with Nicolas Cage throughout the film. He's building a story, and they when they get together and they fall in love with each other in a bromancy way. They talk about how they're going to make the film together, and the film ends in a climactic scene. The film itself, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, it ends in a climactic scene where Nicolas Cage saves his wife and daughter after they are being kidnapped. So they stitch
Mhm.
that scene with the end scene of the Hollywood production that he was supposed to make with Javier. The entire bit doesn't work. After that scene, you see Nicolas Cage in a movie theater and everybody's applauding. And I keep thinking he's imagining this. They're going to go back to the climactic scene because they stole the hero saves the day from you by stitching the scene of a movie within a movie. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, they went from the reality into the movie that they made based on what
Yeah,
happened in that reality.
and they
Yeah.
took the catharsis
Um,
from you to the actual film you were watching.
I actually
Um,
thought there was like too much catharsis there, because it's like they basically told you what happened, just only they showed it to you with actors, Demi
yeah,
Moore and whoever playing the wife and all
yeah.
the rest of it. Um,
And quite a clear wink to Michael Bay's style of production with the end
yeah,
shots. Yeah. Every time I think about what doesn't work in a film, there may be other things in this film that don't work, but I just picked the one that bothered me the most. It's not to say that I didn't notice or
yeah. There are other little bits and pieces. I also have three main points that to me were a negative, and one of them is the Neil Patrick Harris and Ike Barinholtz, especially being underutilized, basically wasted. And they are such comedic talents. I wasn't sure why they were put in there if they weren't going to use them for that. Um, the other thing for me is with the ending, I thought that it was wrapped up a little too neatly and a little too quickly. there was something about the move from the second act to the third act, all the way to the end, that felt very rushed and just cut up strangely. The story escalated very quickly into something that it wasn't in the beginning. And I found that I enjoyed the beginning more. You know, the whole friendship between Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage was the interesting part for me. And if the whole movie was about that, that would have been a lot better. If it would have been about what happens when he comes to the party, you know, as a paid guest and stays there, and then a friendship forms between them and they write a script together, and what happens in that, it could have been a lot more interesting than the way it went. It shouldn't have gone into this whole CIA cliche, which is something I was worried about, if you remember, when we reacted to the trailer, and it ended up being exactly that. And it wasn't needed. They could have made a really interesting, quirky, sort of a dramedy even, you know, about the relationship between this kind of like very rich super fan and this past his prime superstar, you know. And they didn't. They went the cliche way, which was, you know, in parts sort of fun and entertaining, just not so much quality, I thought. And that's the big thing for me, that it really started, you know, fun, interesting. It drew me in, and then it just took a nosedive into cliche country. So those are sort of my three negatives. So what did you like about it?
Because we both grew up watching Nicolas Cage movies, the entire set of references and memorabilia, not the memorabilia itself, but that it made you think about Nicolas Cage's past performances, that did it for me. I really enjoyed that, to see how he you know, he laughs at himself, and how they pull back iconic roles that he did. And it was a really good experience to see that. They didn't. I agree with you with the entire direction that the film took. They didn't play too much on that part, and they probably should have, because at least to me, it would have made a more interesting film to watch if it were you know, a dramedy, or what you said. But that's what it did for me. I laughed out loud several times, you know, watching it, especially when with the whole memorabilia thing in the museum of you know, collectors collection.
The Museum of Nicolas Cage.
That was funny. I also like the fact that there are glimpses of I imagine reality, because it's an actor. You know, I don't really know how old he is, mid-50s. He's trying his best not to become a has-been, which is a problem that many actors have. And they touched on it just enough to keep it in the funny zone, but it was interesting to see that's sort of an aspect in the character's you know, arc. Well, that really made it for me, and overall, it wasn't a painful experience. It was, you know, it was mildly amusing. That's why I would recommend people to watch it. It's not a bad film. It just feels like it wasn't planned well enough, or it may have taken a direction that it shouldn't have.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. One of my points in the positive was actually also kind of a negative, and that was the fact that the film doesn't take itself too seriously, which works in some ways, and it doesn't work in others, because they should have taken it a little bit more seriously. It could have been a better film. It felt like they kind of let go at one point and just thought, all right, cliche, you know, all over the place. It's like it's like that, you know, they had this machine gun and they just sprayed it with cliche. And that's sort of how it went to the end, which kind of leaves you with, you know.
There's another. Sorry, there's something I forgot to say. Also, another positive point. They touch, maybe I feel like they should have done it more, but they touch on the fact that maybe you don't think about it when you think about an actor, a movie star. The skill set that an actor has, that an actor accumulates during his career, is very impressive. I mean, people may not think about it too much, but Nicolas Cage can drive, he can handle a firearm, he can do a lot of things that many people can't do. I mean, not Nicolas Cage, but people like Nicolas Cage. famous actors, people who devoted their entire life to studying these different, practices so they can show them real on camera. And he implements those in the film, and you say that's believable. I believe that this Nicolas Cage can drive because I know he can because I see, yeah, or handle a fire,
or run in loafers.
Yeah, running loafers. Yeah, it's and
it's
by the way,
skill.
yeah, it's a skill. I mean, it's a skill. Yeah, but that's another positive point, and goes without saying the performances that we did see Pedro Pascal and I forget.
I think it goes with saying because a lot of actors here were good. There was nobody that was like bad or stood out as bad. Cage was great. Nick Cage was Nick Cage. I think he's a great actor, and even in films where he's not good, he still gives you something. In this one, I thought he was very good. He was likable and unlikable and vulnerable, and everything he needed to be in different parts.
Yeah.
But I have to say, the chemistry between him and Pedro Pascal was really good. I thought it was the sort of the highlight of the film for me. It was their performances, the way they sort of bounced off each other in the scenes that they were together in was the most interesting part. Pascal almost stole the show, it was like maybe on par. The one thing that bothered me a little bit, and I'm not sure, like I know why they did it, but it's Nicolas Cage engaging with his younger self that took on sort of physical form, I guess, for him. I didn't like that much. It just the whole the technology of the younger face and all.
Oh, I mean, technically, you didn't like it technically.
I didn't. It just didn't work for me. I just kept looking at it, thinking, okay, I'm not buying it. Even though I know it's like in his imagination, it's still. I was like, why do we need this here? It's a bit much. It was like showing, not telling, in a way, because he could have acted that, with his facial expressions as to how he feels about not being young anymore. We didn't really need to see that. The whole him kissing himself thing, I don't know.
It was funny to me to see. It was funny to me. It hints on narcissism. It was funny to me to see.
But did we need that? Did we not know?
Maybe we didn't. But
already.
But the visual representation of a young Nicolas Cage, I think, it catered to a different kind of audience, people who remember him from the 90s. Yeah. I think that was the reason why they put it in there. Plus, I've never seen an actor kiss himself in a film. I've never seen an actor, a character kiss himself in a film. So it's
we didn't really see it here either, but you know what I mean. It's like, yeah, the self-deprecating nature of it was really good. It was very funny to me in some parts, less funny in others. And I think that somewhere along from the end of the second act into the third act, all the way to the end, it lost the funny a bit. It became, a Kevin Hart movie. It was like, I'm just watching another action comedy.
I think that's my biggest problem. If you take Nicolas Cage out of the script, there's no movie.
Yeah, but this premise was what, as we said when we reacted to the trailer, that's what sells it. The premise is like, here, take my money. And that's what we came to see. And I didn't come to see another cliche action comedy. I came to see that premise. I wanted to see something along the lines, maybe not on par with, but like a Being John Malkovich or something like that. That's what I wanted. And
it's a different kind of film. So
but
yeah. But overall,
still, where do you see it overall?
Overall, I gave it, I think, a 7 out of 10. But the low part of the 7, because it's a 7 because I would recommend people to watch it no matter what, because it is Nick Cage, and Nick Cage will.
We're pretty much. Yep. We're pretty much on par. I gave it a 6.5, and I said it's fun and enjoyable, but I don't see it as like a real quality film.
No,
and it was really saved by Pascal and Cage and their performances. I thought, like you say, if you take that out, it's like there's nothing there. It's a terrible film without that. But again, it can't be without that because the whole premise rests on it. So
yeah, all right.
But yeah, Pedro Pascal as Javi was fantastic. Nick Cage was himself.
Nick Cage
did a great job playing himself, let's say.
Yeah. Who did he play in this movie?
Yeah. It would have been nice though if Neil Patrick Harris and Ike Barinholtz would have been given more of a role. It would have amped up the comedy, which would have made this a much better film, I think.
Yeah, Ike Barinholtz made me laugh in the trailer, in a cutscene.
It wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, it wasn't in the movie.
Yeah. I was watching that and I'm like, why did they cut it there?
Yeah,
You know,
it's a low moment in the trailer.
So
yeah,
so much funnier. Yeah,
I don't know.
But yeah, well, okay. So 6.5 for me, 7 for you. But yeah, we both recommend people to, watch this. I know some people who think this is an amazing film, the highlight of the year, that kind of thing. People love it. I just think that we maybe look a little deeper into it. So maybe for us, it's a little bit less than that. But yeah, it's still an okay film. It's not bad, but it's not great.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where I see it.
I agree. Yep. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, please be sure to like, subscribe, and click the little bell icon so you'll get notified on all our future videos. Also, what did you think about The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you like me? I'm a pretty likable person.
So yeah, stay tuned for Asaf's next film, The Unbearable Weight of Being a Massive Asshole, and you see Asaf kiss himself in the film. So I'm not sure, one bearded version, one without.
You don't have to wait for the film.
It's breathtaking. Yeah. It's breathtaking.
Yeah, forever.
And nauseating. But yeah, thanks for joining us once more, and yeah, we hope to do more of these sort of short reviews, and hope you like them. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming back. We'll see you again soon.
Okay. Bye, guys.